Hello students, here is Ashu Gupta, Assistant Professor. Again welcomes you all on the behalf of Indraprasth Law College. Although we have already discussed about the fundamental rights of the state in the previous lectures, but now in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the duties of a state in detail. So now let's open the today's box and start the slide. Now you may see about the fundamental rights of a state, that is rights of independence, rights of sovereignty, rights of territorial jurisdiction, rights of sovereign equality, and rights of self-defense, which is previously discussed in the lecture in detail. Hope you also see that video, and now in that video we are discussing about the duties of a state in regard to the international law. What is the duties of a state? So let's move on the next slide, wherein you may see that what is the duty of a state. If we talk about that things in relation to the rights of the states, there are duties binding states, and all states are bound to observe their duties under international law. Non-compliance of a state with its duties constitutes a violation of international law, for which it is responsible under this law. Among the duties of the states are the following. The first one is in that number, the duty to refrain from the threat or use of force. The second one is the duty to settle international disputes by peaceful means. The third one is the duty not to intervene in the affairs of other states. The fourth one is the duty to cooperate with one another, and the last one is duty of a state to fulfill its obligation in good faith. So let's discuss on these points in details. The first point is the duty to refrain from the threat or use of force, wherein a state is under a duty to refrain in its international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. This duty includes within its scope certain recognized duties, such as the duty to refrain from propaganda for wars and aggression, the duty to refrain from organizing or encouraging the organization of irregular forces or armed bands for incursion into the territory of another state, the duty to refrain from organizing, assisting or participating in acts of civil strife or terrorist act in another state, and the duty to refrain from forcible action which derives peoples from their rights to self-determination, freedom and independence. So however, the use of force is accepted and considered lawful under international law only if it is exercised in cases of self-defense and in accordance with the provisions of the UN Charter. Now let's discuss about the second point, that is to settle international disputes by peaceful means. It means that a state is under a duty to settle its international disputes with other states by peaceful means in such a manner that international peace, security and justice are not endangered. The UN Charter The chapter 6 of the UN Charter also provided the machinery for the fulfillment of this duty by the states, and a state must seek a just settlement of its international dispute by any of the peaceful means stated in the charter, or by any peaceful means agreed upon by them, or in case of their failure to reach a peaceful settlement by themselves, they are under a duty to comply with the actions taken by the UN. So now let's discuss the third one, duty not to intervene in the affairs of the other state. It means a state is under a duty not to intervene directly or indirectly for whatever reason in the internal or external affairs of any other state, and it constitutes a violation of international law. Any use, encourage the use of or threat to use of military, economic, political or any other form of intervention against a state or against its political, economic and cultural elements. That is a basic structure for managing the affairs between the states, that is not to intervene in the affairs of the other state. The next one is duty to cooperate with one another. That is, a state is under a duty to cooperate with other states in regard to the international law, irrespective of their differences in political, economic and social system, or in various spheres of international relations in accordance with the UN Charter. A state also should cooperate with other states in the economic, social, cultural, educational and scientific fields, as well as in the peace and security also, and the human rights or freedom. So that is the duty of every state to cooperate with one another to maintain the peace and security in regard to the international law and the international brotherhood. Then the last one is the duty of a state to fulfill its obligation in good faith. That means a state is under a duty to fulfill in good faith the obligations assumed by it under the UN Charter and the international law, including international treaties. The concept of good faith implies that a state should perform its assumed obligations honestly, without malice and defraud, and without seeking unconscionable advantages. So basically these are the basic duties which is described under the provisions of UN Charter by the UNO in regard to the international law, and almost all the states who want to develop as a international morality may morally bound on these duties and the rights which is described by me in the previous lecture or this lecture also. So now hope you will have been enjoyed the whole session and successfully enumerated it into your study and be benefited from this presentation. We will meet soon again in the next lecture. Thank you very much.